Today, we're going to get into something really fascinating. It's a business playbook that doesn't just give you a few tips, it actually gives you a blueprint for redesigning an entire industry from the ground up. This is a pretty amazing case study in fixing something that is structurally broken.
But first, let me just ask you this. What if a business model, one that thousands and thousands of companies use, was almost designed to fail? It sounds kind of crazy, right? But that's the mystery right at the heart of the cost per lead or CPL industry. Where businesses pay for potential customer contacts.
So why is this whole industry so broken? Well, the playbook we're looking at makes a really bold claim. It's not because of bad people or bad management, it's because the system itself is fundamentally flawed. Let's break down the 4 big failures.
First up is something called payment risk. Just imagine you're a producer. You've done your job, you've delivered exactly what the client asked for, but you're living in this constant state of uncertainty. Payments are late, or even worse, buyers can just unilaterally issue chargebacks, and there's not much you can do about it. Your cash flow's a mess, and it could literally bankrupt you even if you're doing great work.
Next, we've got compliance exposure. Now, in markets like insurance that are super regulated, the legal and financial risks are just massive. Everyone's kind of making up their own compliance rules as they go, so a single mistake like a consent violation can trigger these crippling lawsuits and get entire campaigns shut down. It's a huge liability for everyone.
And then there's buyer dependency. A lot of these producers are totally reliant on just 1 or 2 big buyers. Talk about fragile. If that one big client decides to change their strategy or cuts their budget or just walks away, poof, the producer's entire business can just evaporate overnight. It's a model that is built on a knife's edge. And finally, there's this huge lack of standardization. Without any uniform standards for quality or scripts or how data is handled, every single lead is a total gamble for the buyer. This inconsistency just completely erodes trust, and it makes it impossible to build the kind of long-term, stable partnerships you need for real growth.
So you see, trying to fix all these issues with just, say, better training, it's like putting a Band-Aid on a broken bone. It's just not going to work. The problem is so much deeper. This isn't about managing the symptoms, it's about fixing the system itself.
And this right here, this quote is the single insight that changes everything. It reframes the entire problem. It's not that people aren't working hard enough. It's that the core functions of the business, making the leads, selling them, staying compliant, and getting paid, are all in direct conflict with one another. It's fundamentally a problem of bad design.
And this slide just illustrates that mental shift perfectly. The old way of thinking was, okay, we just got to work harder, manage all this chaos. But the new goal, the one this playbook proposes, is to completely restructure the work itself, to get rid of the contradictions that create all that chaos in the first place. Okay, so how do we actually fix this broken system? Well, the playbook introduces this really clever idea, a separation of powers. It's a concept they borrowed from government, actually, to bring some stability to this totally chaotic industry.
The model basically works with 2 distinct layers. You've got the franchise layer, and they are laser-focused on just one thing, being excellent at producing high-quality leads. That's it. Meanwhile, the central platform handles all the messy, systemic risks, the buyer relationships, the pricing, the compliance, and actually collecting the money.
This separation creates what the playbook calls a risk firewall. And honestly, it's a brilliant concept. All those risks that an individual producer just can't control, like a buyer who decides not to pay or a sudden change in regulations, they're all absorbed by that central platform. This frees up the producers to focus only on what they can control, the quality of their own operation.
So what you end up with is a totally new kind of franchise model. It's one that completely flips the traditional incentives on their head, because it's all about monetizing performance, not charging a bunch of fees to get in the door. And the playbook is super clear on this. This is not your typical outsourcing deal or some passive investment where you just park your money. No, this is an operating system, and it's designed for hands-on operators who are committed to disciplined work within a governed system. It's about building a real, sustainable business.
And here's the proof. Get this. The model is so different that it charges $0 in upfront franchise fees. 0. The platform only makes money when its partners produce compliant leads that the buyers actually accept and pay for. See how that just perfectly aligns everyone's interests? Success is shared. And growth isn't some free-for-all either. It follows this really disciplined 5-phase life cycle. You start small with a pilot to prove you can actually do the work. Then you stabilize to prove your process is repeatable. Only then are you allowed to scale, and even that scaling is controlled. You have to earn the right to grow through proven readiness, not just ambition.
So what's the big payoff for all this structure and all this discipline? Well, it's the ability to achieve sustainable scale, to build something that is truly built to last.
See, this model scales because it's designed to build trusted institutions, not just rely on fragile individual relationships that can break. Governance comes before you chase volume, quality gates control how fast you expand, and maybe most importantly, buyer trust is placed in the system itself, not in one specific person. That is how you build something durable.
You know, this whole case study is just such a powerful lesson in systems thinking. It really makes you wonder, what other industries out there do we assume are broken just because of bad actors, when in reality, they might just be suffering from a fundamental design flaw, just waiting for a new blueprint?